All right, welcome back to another episode of We All Speak in Poems. Today we're talking to Will Clapson, aka Jack in Water. In this episode, we're chatting about his new music, how fatherhood has affected his music, life without a label, and much more. I hope you enjoy it. So yeah, you're a new father. How is that sort of treating you? How has life sort of shifted?
I think, but the main thing is like obviously it changes the amount of time that I have to work on things,
Yeah.
which at first I found very stressful. Like I was like, oh, like I think that was the thing that I think most people when they're going and thinking about becoming a parent, they think about how it'll impact their lives. You know what they like to spend their time doing, and for me, I knew that it was going to impact that, and I worried that I wouldn't be able to record and write and release stuff like as Jack in Water. I just have to focus on um, stuff just to make money, but actually, it's made me more efficient, I'd say, with my time
Mm-hmm.
and just better at making decisions, I think.
Okay, cool.
In terms of career, like it makes me a lot braver, I'd say. Like
Nice.
also intense, mainly intense as well.
Yeah, for sure. I can only
Yeah.
imagine. Do you find that it's been inspiring at all, or like not really? And because the way that you write, that your lyrics are more like you look back a lot. At least the last two albums, I feel like. But has this sort of made
Yeah.
you more in the moment kind of thing? At least when it comes to music.
I don't know. I've always been very anal about writing and at least releasing things in order. Like it was very, and so, especially mainly with albums, because I feel like I like them when they're a bit thematic at least and have a kind of a concept to them, a bit
Yeah.
nostalgic in that way. And so I can't imagine not doing stuff in order. So I imagine the next one, in sort of 2 albums' time, I'll probably be writing about becoming a dad, maybe.
Nice. Okay.
Because I've already started, I've already got like lyric ideas, and there's some songs like maybe they'll come out, maybe I'll change my mind, but for now it feels like I like releasing things in order. So it's gone like childhood, uh, the first kind of exploration into romantic relationships, growing up as like a teenager and in your 20s.
Yeah.
And then I guess next will be like, I don't know yet. That's too far away.
That's really interesting. So the way that you just said that. So is the meaning of events sort of childhood theme, or are you speaking broadly there?
No, I think like because for me, all everything before my first album, I wasn't really thinking much. I liked them having concepts really, but it was for some reason the albums are always like the special bits. EPs I could do whatever I wanted, but the albums I wanted to be more considered. And so like when I'm talking about it being specifically uptight or anal in like this sense of like sticking to chronological order, it is just in albums. EPs, I've got all the freedom I want,
For sure.
but albums must be chronological order.
That's cool. I love
I
that.
say that I've only done one album so far. I've only released one album, so
There's only one chapter of your life so far. It's the only one public.
yeah.
Another cool little life update on your part, I think that really interests me a lot, is we used to be label mates, but then you decided to drop a label and sort of get management instead. How has this sort of been affecting your workflow or been affecting the release of music?
I think like in reality, it doesn't change much. Like in terms, I think like obviously with the label you get this financial support, which changes how you can promote and stuff. But for me, like I realized, I think there's some people that can operate really freely and well inside a record label, and I don't think I'm one of those people. I think because I thought I could, and I really enjoyed working with Network, but I think it was more internally. It made me feel very, I don't know. It changed how I made stuff.
Mm,
It made me. I was always I was trying to, and I even like the awareness that I was trying to focus on. Like, oh, I can still. I need to just focus on making songs I like, and it just changed something ephemeral for me. It sounds a bit lame to say that, but it did. I don't know what it was, and I think also the focus on being an artist of my kind of genre is that it makes sense that you gig a lot, and that's not something that I'm particularly passionate about.
yeah.
Is gigging. I like my passion is writing and recording um, music. Really, I'll do gigs, sure, and I do enjoy them when I do them, but to do sort of like tours every year and stuff like that just seems very stressful, and I don't know. There's a lot of people that love gigging.
Hmm.
They should do the gigging.
For sure. Exactly.
In honesty, I don't think I would have. And again, it sounds like I was saying that I chose to leave the label. It was kind of I'd say it was a conscious uncoupling.
Mm.
It was like a two-way thing. I feel like um, it's not like I was making the millions. I don't. It's not like they were going, please stay, please, Will. But I think I wouldn't have felt as safe to leave if I didn't have Grace, my manager, who's
Yeah.
like definitely made me feel, I don't know, helping me kind of carve a career that is more suited to me
Yeah.
than just being like a performing artist, I guess.
For sure. Yeah. I remember when you first told me that you left the label, and it was like, I understand it was like a mutual thing, but it felt I felt the freeing aspect for you, you know what I mean? Like, cuz it's something that I've
Yeah,
discussed in the past as well. Like, there's certain pressures when you're on a label, or at least even with management, I'm sure you have it, but like when there's other people relying on the stuff that you create in a way.
yeah,
Nobody will say it outright to you, but it is a thing, right? You know? Um,
yeah.
and did you feel that sort of freeing aspect? Is this something, was this album done before you left, or after?
Some of it was done like I'd sent early demos and they'd kind of kindly offered another
Mm.
option. So again, I don't know how openly it's like right to speak about these things, but I feel like they were more hoping that I would go the kind of acoustic
Mm.
route because it kind of streams better, which I kind of agreed with as well. I was like, yeah, if we go that way, like it makes sense for me to, I don't know, do the kind of coffee coffee playlist.
Yeah.
And I think then not being with them and realizing that I could go anyway, and it didn't. I was obviously I would like it if it streams well and it makes me makes me money,
Mm.
but if I was only thinking about that, I don't think I would enjoy it very much. Um, yeah, so it definitely has changed how I don't know. I think I've feel a lot freer, and I wish that I could go back and go into like signing a record deal, feeling how I feel now, because I don't think it was necessarily about actually being signed.
Mm.
I think there was a lot of it that was kind of an internal self development thing that I wasn't aware of. Um,
True. That's yeah.
but
That's
yeah, I
interesting.
definitely felt free. Is the short answer.
For sure. Yeah, that's interesting because I speak about it on here a lot, like on the podcast, and like internally, there's two sides of it. Something about being free, releasing music on your own, owning everything completely, um, betting on yourself, kind of thing. But then also having a label, having support, um, and a whole team behind you is like also a big thing. It's like, which one's better? I don't know.
Yeah,
I guess wait 10
I
years and
think
you'll
it all.
find out. Right.
Yeah, exactly. I think it just depends on what where you want to get. I think that's what I've realized. I think I was going in a direction that I didn't really want to go in, but it felt like the only option, like to be like a performing recording artist that tours, tours, like that kind of thing. And I just don't think it suited me. So I think I just felt um, like I was doing something unnatural
Yeah.
by following that pattern. Now, like I'm free to do lots of different things, like creatively
100%.
and as and when.
Yeah, for sure.
Like,
Well,
yeah.
now that I'm A&R there as well, it is my goal to re-sign you, um, and you'll be my artist there. That'd be a
Well,
crazy, weird, like, you know, timeline there. That'd be cool, I think. But
I wonder if that happens. Like, I do think about that sometimes. Like, oh, imagine suddenly I'm doing really well, and it makes sense to like. I wonder if that must happen. Like, if an artist like leaves a label and then goes back, like, well, we've got something in catalog. We might as well buy the rest of it if it's doing well.
I bet it would. I'm sure I'm not necessarily the case with you, but I'm sure there's also times where like team members don't work well together with an artist or whatever, and then they leave a label, but then new people come in and are big fans that can actually help, boost the whole project, and will actually
Yeah,
do the important work that maybe the other people weren't able to do for one reason or another. So I'm sure it does happen. I think that's a really interesting sort of timeline. Um, And I'm excited to see if it ever does happen while I'm in this sort of music
Imagine that.
business side of things, because there's a lot of stuff like that that I'm waiting for, you know.
Yeah.
But going back to new album, the production side of things, you said you were co-mixing with Jamie. Are you doing everything mostly in the box? Like, do you have any outboard gear that you're using? Do you have any sort of stuff that's inspiring in that way?
Outboard, no. Like I think because of like for like the last few years we've been like building a house,
Right.
and so we've been staying with like in just basically the cheapest accommodation or free with my like mother-in-law, and so like haven't really had space for much stuff. So everything's been on headphones, at a laptop. Like the most luxury item that I use is like an audio interface.
Yeah, for sure.
Is if that can be considered outboard gear. Um, but yeah, no, everything is in the box. Like the thing that and this is a really lame thing that I've realised rarely has an impact, but because I have almost this fear of everything sounding a bit too digital,
Hmm.
I do often just re-mic things through just into a room and back out. Like that's like something I do quite a lot.
For sure.
Especially things like because I use for this album, I've used like exclusively like VSTs for piano, just out of necessity because I didn't really want to have to go in and like record somewhere. I like I'm not a particularly great pianist, like, and so it just made sense for me to just do it all through VSTs. And so then I felt a bit and I have a piano, but again, it just didn't. It wasn't quite the right sound that I wanted.
Yeah.
So everything has gone a bit like everything's been able to come back out into the room and then back through a mic again.
That's really cool, honestly. It's kind of using a natural reverb, as small as it might be,
Yeah,
because I'm assuming you're trying to get as dry of a sound as possible, but at the same time giving it character of the room. Um,
yeah,
I think that's really smart, honestly. Like, that's really, and you never would have guessed that the piano and other instruments on the record are digital, are VSTs, because it sounds great
yeah.
and super lush. Like, how much? I know Jamie in particular is a great mixer. I have a feeling he also likes his stuff a little bit more raw. How much of the mix is he doing? Like, are you guys trying to split it in the middle, or just whatever your expertises are?
I've started mixing it myself when I was like, this is. I don't know if I like because I've mixed mainly kind of acoustic folk stuff, which is like acoustic guitar, piano, stacks of vocals, and then maybe bass and stuff. So it's like I know where I am with that stuff. When I started receiving like the drum stems, and I was like, there's so many different mics and all of this, like there's overheads, the room mics, like
Yeah,
and I hadn't done anything like that before, and so I kind of just wanted someone on my team. So what we've been doing is like, I'll do the first mix, I'll send the project to Jamie, and then he'll be like, I'll send him an MP3 first and be like, give me some feedback, and then he'll take it and make it better. So it's kind of like a two-step editing process.
sure.
Um, and then there'll be some back and forth. So it's kind of like I do the first run, and then he goes in and makes everything sounds better.
Wow, that's
And there's some production as well that he will add often. Like
true. Because it sounds very polished, especially Gold Rush. Like, it's clean, super super clean. You never would have really thought that it would be like a. Um, Honestly, you would never think that the artist would be mixing it themselves and it sounding that professional. You know what I'm saying?
oh well, thank you very much.
You guys have done a really, really good job there, at least with Gold Rush. I haven't heard the other songs, so the other ones might be
No,
not
you'll
as
wait
good.
and see. I mean, I'm struggling. If I'm honest, this week I've been like mixing, and it's just, but like, why don't the drums sound like the Gold Rush drums? I don't know how to. It's the same drummer. It's the same, but I've just done something. No, I think I think also just having someone on your team when you're doing something that you're not that confident with, like Jamie has a way of like wording things or like
Yeah.
I don't know an approach which has kind of made it freeing for me. Like it's
I feel like he's always
yeah
been like
made it more
that.
intuitive.
Yeah, for sure. He's always been like that. Even when I've sent him music just to get feedback for, like, You're right. He has that sort of vocabulary that really makes sense, and is easy to follow. And he's really got a good ear, obviously. It's kind of what he's known for is his ear. But
Yeah.
yeah, man, great job on that. So is it sort of going that way for the album continuing on? Like even with the session musicians and stuff, like them just recording, sending you what they
Yeah,
have,
like
and you guys just collaborating like that?
yeah, it's all recorded. Like um all of the stuff. It's now just bringing it together and like finishing pieces because there was some horns as well, which obviously wasn't on Gold Rush, but like that was kind of exciting. Again, sort of a friend of Jamie that I'd followed on social media, and then um, just really liked his kind of horn and brass arrangements, um, and that was a kind of exciting thing for me.
For sure.
Um,
Are you planning on doing something similar to You Don't Feel Like Home with like the whole visual side of things? Like I know you sort of work as what was your main job before? Was it directing or cinematography?
for the music,
Yeah, before music.
yeah, I did. I've kind of just made videos like films for different purposes, like music videos and corporate stuff, like all a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, because you directed all the music videos for You Don't Feel Like Home, right? And pretty much made them all yourself.
Um, yeah, like edited
Edited,
most of them.
right?
Yeah, and then like directed a few and co-directed a few. But yeah, like I've always, I've always loved the visual element. I think with the album, I think we've spoken about it before. Like, I think I put so much effort into
Yeah.
all of these music videos, and I really I like watching them every now and then. To think, oh, that was what an achievement making that was. But I think the and I think it's maybe the coming back to the dad thing. It's like not having as much time now
Mm.
to spend a lot of effort and time making a music video for then I don't know a few thousand people to watch it. It kind of
Yeah.
doesn't seem like it's worthwhile. I think if I do want to do one for the album,
Hmm.
but I'll just do one. Yeah, just some like I've been enjoying making kind of shorter form videos,
Yeah.
which feels kind of more useful.
Short form in what sense? Social media type
Just
stuff.
short.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like for Reels and TikTok and stuff like that. It's not necessarily for that purpose, but I don't know. I think just time wise, it's a lot more accessible to make a 20-second idea to something than it is um,
For sure.
a full like especially the style of music video that I was used to making or I like to make is this kind of big dramatic cinematic thing
Yeah.
where I'm the focal point
Yeah, for
a
sure.
lot of it.
That's pretty cool. Like it's pretty refreshing to hear somebody who actually likes making short form content because I am not one of those people.
Yeah, well, that's the thing is like I say that I enjoy it, but I haven't like if you look across my socials, it's not like I post
Oh, okay,
regularly.
true.
That's something I am kind of working on, but the way I've managed to do it is I've kind of I'm making a lot of them and then going to release them like um, so that it can feel a bit consistent rather than
That makes sense.
just like kind of here and there. But I think I also because people are always upset about TikTok and short form videos and how sections of songs are getting. But I think for me personally, as a songwriter, I've always felt like my songs were too short. And then for like, I signed to a label, and they were like, maybe you just put a middle eight in there, or like, make it put a bridge or double chorus something. And I was like, fair enough. So I tried doing it, and I just like shorter
Yeah.
songs. I always have written short songs, like sometimes just verse, chorus, and that's
Hmm.
enough. And to put a bridge in was is forcing it for me a lot of times. So I think these shorter, I don't know. Sometimes I feel like the shorter songs suit the short format.
And I mean, that's the way
Um,
the whole industry is going now, right? Like everybody only wants
yeah,
a minute 50 songs so that they can fit in, shorts or
yeah,
TikToks, right? That's probably going to pay dividends in the end for you. Um, Especially because when you're listening to your music, especially the shorter songs, as a listener, it doesn't feel like anything's missing, like
yeah. I hope not. And I think like I try and, I mean, I sometimes it makes sense to go somewhere else.
sometimes.
Um, yeah, but a lot of this album doesn't.
for sure.
Verse, chorus, done.
It's great. What's the point of a bridge, right? When you could make that bridge into a whole other song, right? Like
Yeah,
it's kind of
exactly.
the way that I've been writing too. I mean, obviously I've never written in traditional sense, but you know, just pretty much having, well, drone for 2 minutes
Yeah,
is my thing. But even piano, like I have only A B sections, right? So it'll just be repeating A B A B,
yeah,
um, and maybe adding a little melody thing on top and calling it a day. I
yeah,
think that's the best way to work. At least it makes sense in my ears, really.
yeah. No, I think so. Like it for me, it's always I've always liked very simple, simple songs. That's what I think it's been kind of freeing with this album. Like I've not worried too much about if one thing doesn't match the other in terms of like structure or anything like that.
For sure. I think you can kind of hear that on Gold Rush. Like I feel like as you're writing that, it feels like you were focusing on the build up instead of like structure, which I really like. Like as somebody who comes from
Yeah,
post rock and stuff, um, the structure there is similar, not necessarily the sound, but that's the way that I've always listened, and it feels good. Is a lot of that influence from Jamie? I feel like he's pretty big into that too.
yeah. I think like I mean, he made that is one section that he in the mix stage, like because that was the first we've been finishing and mixing them in the order that they're going to be released. So that was the first one that we'd done, and I sent it to him, and he was like, this is good, but I think the outro can be like bigger, and he did a bunch of stuff to that, which just made it, just lifted it well. Like for some reason, like in this kind of a mixy thing, but I always put everything like if I'm going to record acoustic guitar or electric guitar, I double them
Hmm.
and I put them left and right extreme. And I was trying to be like different for this album, so I was like, I'm going to put like one acoustic guitar and I'll just put it slightly to the left and I'll put this. And
Oh, cool.
I'd worried so much about doing it differently, but I hadn't thought actually for this song it makes sense to open up. And so like a lot of I think the reason that it lifts so well is because it goes from this very like um, one-dimensional sounding mix. Not one, but it's like it's very narrow,
Yeah,
and then suddenly on that outro, it just like Jimmy added a lot of like width to it, which I think just makes it feel like it's and that's something that I always like in songs is I guess it's like having it's always in my instinct to do a big outro
for
of
sure.
a song. Like I try not to do it every one, but that would if I could. That's like the format that feels most natural to me. Is like verse, chorus, giant outro, or stop.
Yeah, and it sounds like so when I was first starting to write music and production and stuff and do production, a friend of mine told me like there's not enough movement in this song, and I was like, yeah, but I don't want to like write whole other sections. Like the song's done. I don't want to do anything. And he was like, just make it mono and slowly become stereo, and it worked, and it was really cool and like made it ultra
Yeah,
wide and stuff. And so by the time the sort of build up or climax happened, like you're saying, it was wide, it was exciting, right? And I feel like that's sort of a
yeah.
common thing here. That's really cool. For this record, are you doing like vinyl and stuff? Are you doing the whole production kind of thing, or are you just sort of keeping it simple?
At the moment, the plans are digital, like just digital. But I at some point I will want to do a vinyl,
Yeah,
but it might be like a year after the release, or like, and it'll be a small run of vinyls. Even just for me, so I can have. I'd like to have a vinyl of each album
yeah.
at least, even if it's just for me. So I'll make a small number, hopefully sell them all, and then
I'm sure they will.
keep a couple for myself, just for the shelf.
Yeah, that sounds like sort of what I've been doing
Um,
too. Like seriously, just lathe
yeah,
cut, sort of 25 copies. It's a nice little special event. I get one, and some people who actually like the music get one. Call it a day.
yeah,
Lose $500 and you're good,
no,
as usual.
yeah. No, that is. I think that's probably what I will do. But yeah, not there's no sort of that. I guess that's been the kind of for me. I couldn't imagine that I would be doing it this way, where I haven't finished it, but there's a date for release, which feels very worrying to me, especially as I'm the one that's in charge of getting it to the finish line.
For sure.
Um, but it's kind of nice as well. Like I think this way of releasing is very freeing. Like I've already got songs that are going to come out after the album's out,
Nice.
and yeah,
When is the record slated for release?
July 14th.
July.
Is
Oh
when
wow.
it's
So are you only doing two singles and then dropping it?
No, we're cramming in. So there's a single in May, and then there's a single in June,
Hmm.
and then there'll be like a song that comes out 2 weeks before in July,
Cool.
1st of July.
I like that.
And then there's actually, strangely, another song that's not on the album that's coming out early June.
Is that just
Just
another song, or is
and
it part of a compilation or something?
No, it's just that it was a song that I'd written for like a film pitch,
Ah,
and I ended up really liking it. And I was like, oh, I'm going to keep that as a Jack and Water one. And I didn't think it didn't get the particular pitch that I'd pitched for. And then it got picked up by another film, and they were like, it's being released in June. And so they were like, if you release it 2 weeks before, like that would be good. And so I was like, yeah, because they're going to promote it and stuff. It makes sense that it's out.
for
It
sure.
just it happened that it didn't coincide with the. I didn't just want to stick it on the album, which would have been most convenient,
Yeah.
but it just doesn't make any sense for me to like. Um,
So this is interesting. New development. You're writing music like. So I'm assuming the director or whatever the team came to you and were just like, write a song for a scene in the film.
well, it's like so my manager has kind of slowly been building like music supervisor contacts and
Sick.
like sync agency contacts and stuff because that again that's like something that I'm very passionate about and love to write. That's my dream scenario is that I'm just writing music for film and TV
Hmm.
like and then doing Jack and Water stuff on as well. But so she's been slowly building up contacts and I've been right. She's been getting me kind of briefs from publishers and sync agencies and music supervisors, and this was just one of those like that came in
Sick.
and got it. Thankfully,
Yeah, congratulations.
yeah.
That's always exciting. Is it a big show or
Thank
movie
you.
or
It's okay. I don't know what the rules are and if I'm allowed to say the name of it or
yeah.
anything, but it's like it's coming out on Amazon Prime
Sick.
in in June, um,
Nice.
and it's like yeah, a lot of because I've had a few things recently and they've all been sort of from South and Central America,
Hmm.
um, which again they're all English speaking songs, but I live in Spain, and so strangely it's like because of the kind of a lot of countries in South and Central America speak Spanish.
Mm.
It's strange that it's kind of linked up that way. But even though they're all English speaking songs, I don't really know how it's worked out. But yeah,
Sick. You're gonna have to let me know how that looks on the back end, like the publishing royalty side afterwards, like later on, because I'm always curious with like the streaming services what that sort of looks like. Um, I'm assuming it's some sort of license, but there must be some sort of per play kind of royalty. I don't know if you know much about that, but I've never had like a big sync in a streaming service, so I'm always curious.
yeah. To be fair, I don't either exactly know. Like, I'm pretty sure that this is like a buyout.
Cool.
I mean, I know it's a buyout for the like a license to um, but the thing with a lot of because there's another one that's like an Amazon Prime kind of exclusive, and a lot of the time they will promote the Amazon will promote the like a playlist building up to a playlist of songs building up to the release, and
True.
that's what's happening with this one in June. Um, and so it's being pre-released on Amazon exclusively 2 weeks before the actual release date, and
Amazing.
then Amazon are promoting it for the film. So like for artists, it's really like it will generate some kind of streaming revenue.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess the sync the publishing master is very much like a buyout. That's one of the freeing things about being independent
Mm.
is that I can do these kind of things very quickly. Like I own the master, I own the publishing. Here you go. And I think it's very, um, I don't know, it's like attractive for a
Yeah.
lot of like smaller films anyway, because it's just very quick and easy
Yeah.
to just do one simple contract.
Yeah. You say yes and go from there, right? Man,
Yeah,
that's cool. Congratulations. I can't wait to hear that song. I can't wait to hear it on, the TV too. That's cool as hell.
yeah, I'm really excited about it. It's been like a something that I've wanted to start getting into, and it seems like it's starting to bubble away now, thanks to my manager mainly.
For sure. That gets us into the next conversation. I remember, oh man, it was probably like a year ago now. Feels like a couple months ago. But it's probably a long time ago. You were sending me a couple like instrumental demos and stuff, and they were super super good. Did you continue on with that, or not really? Kind of lost track of time.
Yeah, I think no, I think like 'cause again we spoke about it last time, and I've still been writing instrumentals and still have them, but I'm just still not sure how to release them is the honest answer. Like, because
Yeah.
I think it just doesn't make sense to be under Jack in Water probably.
Yeah.
Um, but then I just the idea of like starting a whole other project. Um, yeah, I don't know. Again, I think I want to. I definitely want to eventually. I just don't know how to do it. I've always been like creating like a an internet presence is very easy for me because it's just me,
Hmm.
like me just like wobbling about on the internet. But I don't know how I'd separate that or what. I don't really know where it fits in, and also like how to. I struggle to mix that ambient kind of instrumental stuff, like
Yeah. It's
to know
pretty.
when it's finished because it always feels like, yeah, this will do. And then you come back like 2 weeks later, it's like this is a mess. It's like a warm, muddy mess.
Yeah.
So I don't like. I feel like those things are just they're always constant works in progress. And it's more like I do want to release them, but also I'm enjoying that I'm not putting any pressure to release them. So it's just, um, yeah, I just don't know how to. Yeah, it's the
Yeah.
honest answer.
Letting it marinate. I mean, by the
Um,
time you do figure out how to release it, you're gonna have like a lot of music to go with. Like it's gonna be pretty exciting actually.
yeah, I guess that's the freeing thing is just putting it out there
Because from what I heard, it
under a
was
name.
good, man. Like really, really good. But I definitely do understand the mixing thing, especially with ambient music. You're just constantly chasing resonant frequencies, and they're just always there. Um,
Yeah,
Eventually, you
and
just
I
have to
think
let
not
go.
because I all of my songs have always been like vocal driven
Hmm.
a lot of the time, and like something I have to be very aware of that I always put the vocals way too loud at first, and then I'm just bringing them down.
Yeah,
Just because I've always liked very vocal forward mixes in like pop music and rock music and all that. Just all modern music, I guess, is very vocal focused, and I've liked that. So with an instrumental, it's like, where's the focus? Like, what's the, is it the piano? But then then now it's not the piano. It's just that's the thing I struggle. Like, it's a very different approach to mixing
yeah,
when there's not a vocal.
100%. Yeah, you have to sort of
Um,
think of it as the whole thing is the focus. I think, and that's definitely hard to
yeah,
wrap your head around, especially when you're used to mixing vocal music, right? Where it has to be sort of the main thing. Um, but that's something I've always actually wanted to ask you is how you even found out you could sing. I know it's probably a weird question, but like, were you just always singing growing up?
I think I've always loved singing in the sense that like I've at school I joined a choir and stuff,
Oh, okay.
and I always knew I liked it.
Hmm.
But then when I actually started doing it in like a band, I wasn't good. Like, and I remember I have like visceral memories of doing like pub gigs and stuff, and people coming up and going, "Yeah, like guitar was good, but are you serious? Like that's what you're gonna do, is it? That voice?" And I think thankfully I was very arrogant and just decided to ignore them and carried on going until I found like I don't know. I just found a style that suited me because I was singing a lot of like my first bands were like jangly indie
Mm.
like bands that, and I sang in like a Brighton accent, so I sounded like the Kooks or something like that. Like, and it didn't. It's just it wasn't great. It wasn't great. Um, and I think I just carried on. just because I enjoyed it until eventually it's like I feel more confident with it now.
For sure.
And not as many people tell me they hate it. So I feel like it must have improved.
100%. Yeah. Your voice is one of my favorites, man. Seriously. Yeah. That's really interesting because you always wonder, like, everybody always talks about how, you know, they've started guitar. You get a guitar for Christmas and you start practicing when you're 13 and eventually you get good at it. Same with drums and all this. Um, but the voices, I feel like people don't talk about it because it should be obvious or something. But I'm always confused because I'm like,
Yeah.
I I don't know if I ever found out I wasn't good at singing. I just knew. So I was wondering if it was the same when you can sing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I don't know. I've realized I think it's strange. And I still to this day I find singing very strange as a thing, and it's my least favorite. It used to be my least favorite thing when making an album or making like a recording any music was the vocal because it just felt like what if I just wake up and I can't sing?
Oh, wow.
Like,
Really?
and it was like I'd stress out so much, like going into, especially when you're like paying someone like a producer or you're recording somewhere. Like I hated it. Like guitar, piano, it was like you just had to get the timing right.
Yeah.
Like it made it. But for vocals, it was always very stressful. And still now, like I remember that's one of the reasons I'm not a big fan of gigging. It's like because it feels like it relies so much on my voice showing up.
Mm-hmm.
And most of the time it's okay, but sometimes it's not. And it's like I don't know how to fix this. So it's just like you just sing bad for the rest of the gig.
Oh, wow.
Whereas guitar, you can like, hang on, and just like readjust. Like or piano, you just. But vocals, it just seems like I don't. I'm sure some like vocal coach would be like, you just need to learn how to control your voice. But for me, it feels very. There's not like a button you press; it's just comes out.
Yeah. You get what you get.
I found it. Yeah,
That's interesting that, yeah, you're worried about like the performance of stuff where I feel like most people are normally, I feel like the most stressful part of writing an album that has vocals is the lyrics. At least I would imagine it would be. Have lyrics always sort
yeah.
of come naturally to you?
I think so. Like sometimes, like it depends on the song, but like for me, it's that's kind of the main reason I wanted to do like be in a band or like I've always liked lyrics like and poetry and stuff. Like it's always been a big driver to do it, which is probably why I ended up wanting to be the singer because I was like, oh, I'll write the poems, I'll sing the songs.
Yeah.
Um, but no, lyrics I find the easiest probably
Hmm.
of the whole songwriting process, like because once you've got the concept there and you've written it, it's then just like you're working with semantics for me any all the time. It's the music that I find the most difficult to settle on. Like
Oh,
um, sometimes, but then sometimes there's a lot of problem songs that like you feel like it just needs more work, but generally, and the fact you can do it anywhere as well with lyrics, like I could be doing it like saying on the bus or something, whereas like working on music, I need to be at a piano or a guitar on my computer, like
for sure.
whereas so there's a lot more freedom with lyric writing. You can do it anywhere. For some people, probably can do a lot more music anywhere, but for me, just lyrics.
Man, that's cool. Do you remember? So, um, you don't feel like Home came out, and I feel like you started getting more open about the personal stuff that you wrote about. You know,
Yeah.
pretty like deep stuff, serious things. Do you remember having to get sort of mentally charged for that in a way? Like, were you stressed about sharing any of that stuff? Because as somebody who doesn't have any meaning to their songs, I'm like, oh my god, I cannot imagine like putting yourself that far into it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think like not really. Like I think I don't think I realized what it meant releasing kind of personal songs until I released a song Monster, which was about sexual abuse that I experienced as a child, and I kind of did it thinking, oh, this is something I've always wanted to write about. It makes sense on this album. Like I knew it was a bit weird. I knew it would make some people feel weird, like in my family and stuff. Like just not weird, just
Yeah.
uncomfortable because it is like a strange thing to be open about, and not strange to be open, but it can be uncomfortable for some people. And then when I released it, I kind of wasn't thinking about, and then I kind of started to get messages from people and of like things, similar things had happened, and they they'd gone to therapy, and just sort of like they'd reached out to like just, and that was the thing that was like, oh, and it kind of sounds a bit cliche to say that like when you talk about your own experience, like it helps people, but
Hmm.
it does. It I always thought it was a bit cliche. Like you see, like Dr. Phil. Is it Dr.
Yeah.
Phil? Is he the guy that like the therapist on
Yeah.
TV? He's always talking about like how important it is for people to share their story, so it inspires others and like makes people feel less alone.
Hmm.
And I always thought it was a bit cliched, but I do think it does. It does work, and it's like it's not that, but everyone has stuff they go through, and I think it's just always come. I find it difficult to write songs that aren't from somewhere like intense, like or like troubling or extremely like emotional.
Yeah.
It's just always been very natural for me to talk about it in music, and it's just, yeah, it's helped me like. But so I guess I don't feel. If anything, I feel a bit like now when I'm releasing music. Still, I'm still going on about like me and like difficult stuff that I think I've been through. It's kind of like I feel a bit self-aware of it. It's like,
Mm.
oh, come on, Will, it's not a big deal. Like we can do another sad song about another relationship or the thing, whatever. So that's the difficulty I have now. Is like, well, you've done all you're in your mid 30s. Stop whinging about your childhood
Okay.
on the internet.
Interesting.
That's the that's the awareness that I've got now.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, it's obviously super helpful for people to hear that, they're not alone and stuff, especially when it comes to from music, because it's an enjoyable experience at the same time, because you get to listen to music and it's
Yeah,
and it's satisfying and stuff. Um, so I mean, yeah, man, you're doing the best work for people, sometimes, and especially when it comes to Monster, like, when I first heard that song, you can tell that there was, even without reading the lyrics or whatever, you could tell that it was like emotionally charged, even with that cello solo in it. I always go on and on about
yeah,
that cello solo because it's sick as hell. Um, to the point where I was like, I need to remix this for that remix EP.
yeah.
Um,
You
and
smashed it.
yeah, and I know that people like that version as well. And even though I didn't make the lyrics or make the meaning behind it, it's like still being part of that in some way is really,
Yeah.
it's really important. It's really cool, I think. I don't know if cool is the right word, but that's the word I'm going to use.
No, it is cool. It is. It is cool. People feeling less alone and getting help is cool.
Yeah. Yeah, 100% it
I think.
is.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Um, Speaking of that remix EP, do you think you're going to do something like that for this next album? Or probably not?
Mm, no, I think like I do want to do an alternate versions, like just because a lot of the songs I liked, uh, like the next single, it's called "All the Fires You Start."
Hmm.
It's like I don't want to say electronic, but there is like it's a bit more um I don't know, production heavy than I'd initially like how I imagined it. And now because I'm doing a few live bits, I've been playing like a stripped back piano version that I really like. And there's a few other songs on the album where I'm just like, this would be nice to do, and I could do it very simply.
For sure.
Um, and I think I don't know, I imagine that some people might like it. So I'm going to do like an acoustic like EP versions of like the album, probably
Smart.
like maybe yeah, but probably not a reworks.
For sure. Yeah. I'm one of the people who advocate against rework sort of things. Not because I don't think that they're good or whatever, but oh my god, having put together a couple of them now, whew, you know, it's stressful on, I'm sure, on your part, like having to wait and see if anybody's actually going to come through with it, or if they're even
Yeah,
going to be good. I'm still so happy that I was part of that, that compilation with, I mean, I guess it was just me, Jamie, and Lily Kershaw who were on it. Um, but still, me being one of those people is sick. Love being involved with that.
no, it was cool, and it was like it felt like I got to ask people whose music I loved to, I don't know, take the time out to work on something that
For
I'd done.
sure.
Like was really cool. Yeah, there's also Damaso, who's an artist in Mallorca, who did A Giant's Chair, which was like the rework of
Oh
Just
yeah.
Smile. Um, and that ended up kind of getting me into meet other musicians and stuff, which was cool on the
Nice.
island. Um, yeah, I guess that of that like as well. That rework was the only instrumental that I've ever released was on that rework.
True. Yeah, a giant's chair, right? Yeah.
I did like a I don't know for you like the piano, it's just
Oh man,
piano.
you're one of my favorite artists. I should really know this. Like,
No, so I mean I can't I genuinely can't remember what it's called
yeah, for sure.
because I called the reworks like different names than which I think really upset everyone at the record label. It was very confusing for people. Um, but yeah, I can't remember what it's called.
I think it's no words for you.
I no, yeah, that makes sense. That was very literal. Um,
Which is actually really cool. It's a really great title for a song that has no words in it, right? Um,
yeah,
what's that track? When you first sent me the demos of the new album, there's that track that I messed around with trumpet on. I don't think anything ever came of it, but do you remember which one that was? Because it is so good, and I can't remember the
yeah.
title of it.
That, that's the third
Oh,
single.
sick.
It's I love you, but I'm pretty sure I hate
Yes. Oh
myself.
my God. Dude,
Oh,
okay, anybody who's listening, that song is so good. Like,
thanks. Man.
from what I remember, it was my
That's the
favorite.
one we're mixing at the moment,
Oh, yeah?
actually.
Sick.
Yeah, and it has got like, um, again, that was because you had put some
Hmm.
trumpet on it, and that made me that solidified that I definitely wanted trumpet on
Hell
it.
yeah.
So I hope you're not offended that I got another trumpet player
No, I'm not.
to play.
I'm actually, that's
Yeah, the
amazing.
guy that did.
You know?
Yeah, so it has trumpet and saxophone on it.
Sick. It just feels like such like an
Um,
old timey song. I don't know if it's the key that it's in or what, but man, is it ever good. So stripped back to it. At least the demo version was. I don't know what the did you
yeah, it's pretty much other than it's got bass, um, piano, and then there's like there's sax and trumpet, but that's it.
can't wait for that. And that's June.
Um,
That one will come out.
yeah, June's the double release month where I've got the yeah June 9th.
Well, I hope that one does well because it
Um,
is 10 out of 10. So good.
Thanks, man. Thank you very
For
much.
sure.
No, we really crammed in all the singles before the album comes
Yeah.
out.
How do you feel about sort of the meta right now is releasing as many singles as possible? Do you typically like try to work against that, or do you sort of agree with the want to do that?
I think like it depends. Like I like because I always like a bit nostalgic and like old fashioned in liking
Hmm.
albums. Um, but also like I just happened to have an album that I wanted to release, and I was like, let's just get it out there. I'm going to put it all out in one
Yeah.
day and not tell anyone. And then managed like, yeah, yeah, all right, well, but that also means that it could just be a massive waste of all of your
Yeah.
energy and time. Where maybe if we just a couple of singles, there might be some space to. And I was like, yeah, all right, we'll put some singles out, but it makes more sense. But I like the idea of being able to release just regularly as you
Yeah.
write. And then sometimes it makes sense to put like a, but I think that's kind of freeing. It's just to, especially now that I'm kind of self-producing and can mix. It feels like I just write a song. I won't ever do a demo
Hmm.
again. I'm just going to go right into recording and stop calling things demos. Because that's ruined this album for me. Is having
Yeah.
demos. Um, and so yeah, I think I like it, and also I get why people don't like it. But for me, I think it's the relentlessness of it. Like if you are someone that doesn't write very regularly, it could be really intense and
Hmm.
stressful. But for me, and especially if you have to pay someone to like, I don't know, I think it can be, but it also makes the most of a big project. I
Yeah.
guess I get why people would do it.
Yeah, it's one of those things that I sort of struggle with. I'm like, I understand it, but I think it's getting taken too far. When people are putting out
Yeah,
10-track albums and they have 8 singles, going into it, it's like, okay, I understand, but I think we're good here. I personally get tired as a
yeah,
listener, when the release sort of window is over a year long, you know, and especially as an
Yeah.
artist, I get even more
No.
tired. I don't even like the album by the time it's out, you know?
Yeah. And I think like for me, it's like it's obvious which sometimes there are out songs that I don't know, only a certain kind of listener is going to want to
Yeah,
listen to it. Like not necessarily like it's you trying to. I don't know if you're trying to pitch it to a playlist. I feel like it's just there's just songs that you don't always need. But sometimes I feel like if you've got 8 songs for an album or something, and you're trying to push like 6 of 8,
yeah,
it's like you've got to have. I don't know. I feel like there's a bit. Some people will have 8 great songs, but for me, it's like there's some that I shouldn't be releasing as a
for
single.
sure. To end this off, the episode off, we got some fan questions for you. Just two, if
Oh
that's
man,
cool. They're pretty.
200? Did you
200.
say 200? But you've just picked two from
Exactly.
the.
Yeah. We got an overwhelming amount of suggestions, and we're going to go through each one at a time.
Okay.
No, but is there a style or like a genre that you've ever wanted to explore more deeper?
Not necessarily as Jack and Mortar, but I would like to write for more pop
Oh, cool.
artists. That's something that I've just to started writing for other artists, and I find pop music fascinating. And when I said, I guess pop music is very broad, but I mean like Eurovision pop,
Okay.
like kind of. I think that's something I've always found fascinating, and I I don't know. I think it's such a like a. I think it gets a lot of stick from like musos and like people that think that it's not proper. I don't know. There's a lot of like weird um, feelings around pop music, like that kind of pop music. But that's something that I've always found fascinating, and I've started to write for artists, and I wrote for another artist that was like it is pop music, but it's like
Oh,
ballady pop,
cool.
and I really enjoyed it, and it made me think I'd like to do more of this. Um, so yeah, pop
Nice.
straight down the line, pop
Hell yeah.
ballads. I'd love to
That's
do.
sick. I didn't know that you were getting into that type of stuff. It's really cool.
Yeah, just it kind of slipped accidentally, but I've ended up really enjoying
Yeah.
it, and so I would like to
It
do
makes
more.
sense. That's sick. The next question kind of goes into that, I guess. If is there any artists that you would love to collaborate with? I guess your dream collaboration is the question.
Mm, and maybe it's because I've been listening to a lot of her music recently, but Regina Spektor.
Okay.
Um,
I don't know her.
yeah, Regina Spektor. She's like, I think she's still releasing music, but yeah, she is releasing. She just released a brilliant album, but I feel like she makes the music that I wish I could make sometimes. Like it's it's piano led alternative
Okay.
music. I don't know what else you'd call how you'd describe it, but um, yeah, I recommend you check her out. Her latest album is full of like it's almost like Disney sounding, and it's like
Oh,
dramatic
cool.
like string arrangements and stuff. And like yeah, I bet she would be like a duet with Regina Spektor would be my currently top
Amazing.
tier
So
collaboration.
let's make it happen, man. You got to get that one.
If you could contact her,
Yeah, I'll
that
do
would
my
be
best.
convenient.
We'll see. But yeah, I'll definitely check it out. If you experience burnout, how do you sort of deal with it typically?
I think I'd stop for a
Yeah.
bit. Is that it sounds really simple, but like uh, I think I've learned now. Like a lot of the times, when I'm thinking about burnout, I'm thinking about the impact that it has on songwriting or just even releasing music. And I think if I carry on trying to do it while I'm burnt out, it doesn't do anything for me or my like desire to make music. So I think taking a break, and that can mean like just a
Yeah.
day, not thinking about it, but often it's like several weeks. And it's forcing myself not to engage with music and the music industry for an amount of time,
Yeah.
um, which I'm very lucky that I can do that. Some people can't, I guess, like or they feel like duty bound to
Yeah, true.
to do it. But for me, it's just I step back until I have a desire to do it
That
again.
makes sense.
And thankfully, it hasn't happened too much. Like to me, like I get small burnouts.
Perfect. Well, man, thank you so much again for being on this. Um, really means a lot.
Oh, thank you for having me.
For sure.
Well, it means a lot to be on.
Thanks for listening to this episode of We All Speak in Poems. If you enjoyed it, we'd appreciate a follow and a like or thumbs up. We'd also like if you went and listened to some of Jack and Waters' music and gave him a follow as well. Catch you next time.